Got me misbehaving for your love. Falling through the sea, someone that I'm not scared. Finally I'm free. Time don't exist.
Hi, I'm Francois from Production Music Live, today with producer notes, and we're taking a look at the style of the Chainsmokers. Don't lie, we have a fully arranged track here in Ableton, only using Ableton stock effects and instruments plus Serum, and we are reverse engineering the style of that track using PML sounds, samples and vocals, only Ableton stock and Serum. And we have a fully arranged track lasting around 3 minutes for Spotify. It's an edit for Spotify, and it has an intro like this. Starts with this plucky bass and, you know, a bunch of vocal atmos, and then we have this hook, vocal hook coming in.
I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it.
And now we are bringing in some more open hi-hats into the verse.
You got the beauty, you be looking right through me. You know what I'm craving. Got me missing.
And we're filtering in these drop synths, and then the kicks, bass sound, and full filtered drop synths come in.
Falling through the sea, someone that I'm not scared.
More center stage for the vocal here in that verse part, and then we are bringing back some other elements like pianos.
Time don't exist. I just wanna stay.
And then we have this break part where we have a bit more vocals going, and then we are starting at the half of the break part towards the build up and the drop. We are starting to sort of build it up, and then some snare rolls are also coming in.
You got the beauty, you be looking right through me.
And now you also have these keys sitting on top, emphasizing a bit more on the brightness, snare rolls.
You know what I'm craving. Got me misbehaving for your love.
Giving that hook some room one more time here, and then again together with the pianos and pads.
I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it.
And then we go into the outro. Okay, so this is the track. We have the drums group sounding like this. Very clean, short, snappy, and straightforward. Beautiful. And bass. A couple of bass lines layered here, sub bass, and a mid bass. And in the beginning and the end, we also have that Reese bass sustained. And our instruments group consists of that drop synth bulk. We're taking a look at these bunch of layers a bit later, and we have this plucky bass line. It's a bit of a higher sound. Sitting on top of this bass line here, but this is sort of more in the mid frequencies. And also like these pianos. Maybe better here. And then together with keys and pads. And it's really not that much going on here. It's a very straightforward little fun track. Fun style also. Let's take a look at the vocals.
Here forever, I just wanna stay here forever.
And that's an interesting vocal pad here. From our Vocalized Volume 2 Vocals pack. I'm putting links to all of these sounds in the description. Like this project file is part of this house pack here. It has 5 project files overall, a sample pack and Serum presets. Putting a link to that in the description as well. So this track is modeled after Chainsmokers Don't Lie. Great track. I think the Chainsmokers don't really need an introduction. And let's go through the elements one by one here to see exactly what's going on. I'm picking the drums in the drop part with a snappy kick. Kind of 90s style with that extra knock, very knocky. Bit of overdrive on top, bit of saturation on top, but you can also see that one is pretty short here. 100 milliseconds plus a little bit, but not that much of a tail. And then we already have another very snappy clap. That's even shorter in the length. Nice, gritty and layered. These samples are also part of this sound pack, by the way. And then we have open hi-hats playing together. Bit playful here with that semitone up. And then made a bit wider, and then a bit of saturation on top. To have that thing cut through a bit better. And then we have a little drum loop here. It's a loop from the Premium Volume 4, our drum pack series. Fits nicely together with the style. And that was an 118 BPM loop, but we are pitching it up. We are at 135 here, so pretty fast, but it totally works together with these other elements. And then a short ride sample at the beginning and a short crash sample also at the beginning. Let's actually solo them quickly. That's the high tail. And together. Just a bit of belly here with that crash sound. And right before that we have our clean snare roll. You can see these automations here working overtime. Or over time. Frequency of that filter going up and the low cut of that one coming in. And you can also see this one is pretty shortened, the sample. You don't want too much of that. Just short and snappy. So that's what's going on here. And then what else? There's this other ride shown up somewhere, and that's at the end part of the hook. Later in the track, this one is being played out. It's just a bit of adding energy.
I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it.
It's panned to the right, and it adds a bit on top of that open offbeat hi-hat.
I need it, I need it, I need it.
But again, you can also see this one is shortened. It was a much longer sample, and you could see it's like at half of its volume already at like 150 milliseconds, and then being dragged down.
I need it, I need it, I need it, I need it.
So a very straightforward drum setup, beautiful. And quickly, by the way, showcasing our send and return channels. The first one has this reverb on top, 3 seconds of decay time. The second one has a 3x3 delay, repitch, feedback to 21%. And the other one is like a hall high. So a high cut on a reverb, and we'll see later where that's being used. And on our master, we have this compressor and basically 2 limiters. Nothing much going on there. Very clean setup here. And let's take a look at the bass sounds quickly. We have in our drop part playing this sub. So we're playing E, F sharp, and G sharp. It's G sharp minor here. That's E major and followed by F major. This is our chord progression. We'll see that in the piano a bit later. And the sound setup of this sound is basically saw rounded to square, 3 octaves down, and 1 voice. It's our sub bass. And we used a bit rounded to square to have a bit more grittiness on the sound, but you can see otherwise there's absolutely nothing on it. We're just using this sound wavetable, putting that through a 24 decibels per octave low pass filter and keeping it as simple as we can. On the bassline group, we have a bit of saturation, and then this is already our sidechain here, and we're ducking to our kick, or basically setting it up in a way like an LFO tool, so we don't even need the trigger sample. That works for 4 to the floor beats nicely. You would have to set it up differently in trap or something. Okay, on the bass group we have nothing, so this is the last piece of group information that affects the sound. And now on top of that sitting, we have another bass sound, bit higher. Again, as simple in the setup as they come. And again, just this envelope here controlling the shape of the amplitude that goes out, and we just have a saw wave playing here. And that's sitting, you see it's rolled off here in the low end because that one is being more putting a bit more emphasis on these frequencies here around a bit over 100. Make sure you're on headphones or on good monitor speakers to be able to perceive the difference here. Okay, and a bit more meat on top of it with this mid layer. And that one now has a plucky setup, is really shaved off here in the low and in the high ends. And now there's a bit more going on. We again have a saw wave. We always have the same midis here, by the way. Okay, and what's happening now? We have envelope 2 controlling the filter here for the pluckiness. And in our effects section, in our matrix, there's nothing else going on. So envelope 2, filter cutoff, making sure this one is sort of in a decay time of 393 milliseconds. And it's really about the EQing. We already have the low frequencies covered with these other 2 sounds, and we just want a bit more of that mid-frequency range. And now, sitting on top of that, I'm jumping the respace for a second, because on top of that we have this Pluck sitting, and let's quickly play them together. So almost the same pattern. It jumps around a bit more, but essentially playing a similar pattern. And this sound now has a few more voices, 3 voices here in the basic shapes. I'm soloing it quickly. Sine wave, and then 4 voices here in something like that was the basic mini, but we have no Windows sync on, and we are sort of cutting that off early and bringing it back later. It's kind of a mixture of a sine wave and a saw wave. And then very plucky in the setup here with envelope 2. LFO1 controlling the coarse pitch, envelope 2 the filter cutoff, we just saw that, and then we have LFO2 also controlling the filter cutoff. So let's quickly take a look at what this one is doing. This one just slightly opening the filter up. Just giving it that little extra over, what is that, 2 bars. And LFO1 here ever so slightly messing with the coarse pitch to sort of give you a bit more of that analog perception. OTT carving out mid and high frequencies and really getting rid of low frequencies. And then we sort of, whatever instrument they used in the original, we needed to super emphasize this frequency 350 here in the sides and a bit more of that belly in the middle, and then adding 3 seconds of reverb decay time on top. Let's put that on and off. Just need that damp background feel. I mean, I could also take off the sidechain here if that's annoying while listening to it in solo. Yeah, very nice sound. I'm putting it back on so I don't forget that for later. So that's basically our bass layer, which is a bit more sophisticated here, but at the end of the day, you're sort of making sure you have proper sub separation. You have your sub frequencies separated, then you have the mid part a bit separate, and then you have that emphasis on where it almost sounds like a bass guitar being a bit treated standalone. And we have this re-space in the beginning, playing the same pattern, and it's just a whole bunch of voices here, 10 voices. Saw wave, saw rounded to square as the foundation below that. This is really, sound design wise, not a super complicated setup so far. Maybe later in layers down there, but let's now jump over to the grand piano. So a very familiar sounding uplifting chord progression here, E major, F sharp major, plus a 6th on top, and then we also have G sharp minor. Playing together, kind of reminds me of a Kesha song. Before I leave, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack, cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back. But many songs are using this one. It's just a nice progression, and we're using the grand piano pack that comes with Ableton, rolling off some high frequencies here, and basically EQing that to our reference. And the reference was Chainsmokers Don't Lie. So, you know, the setup here can be different if you produce this from the beginning to the end as your own track, but if you model it after something else, then sometimes your EQ setups look a bit wild. And in the break part later, we are adding in a chorus basically on that sound. And we're letting some of the high end cut through a bit more because we cut that off here in this piano. And now we're opening that up and widening it with the chorus ensemble. And it gets layered with this pad sound. So we have 6 voices of the Juno and another voice of the Juno here, slightly different wavetable position, slowly bringing that in. Bit of reverb and delay on the sound and cutting off some low end. And slight chaos on the master tuning for that analog feel. Just to beef up our sound here. Ah yeah, and we're playing G sharp, A sharp and B on top. So as simple as it gets, later in the drop part we're adding that in the second part or here in the verse part to make it a bit more dreamy. In our break to build up part we're also layering in a bunch more sounds. This one is there for the crispiness, for the high frequencies, basic mini saw to what's that, sine to saw wave basically, with 9 voices. This one an octave higher. It's always the same setup. Envelope 2 controlling the filter, messing with the shape. And then we're trying to smooth out the EQ here to emphasize on these frequencies. And we are sending this one also to the first return channel here. So there's also a bit of vocal action going on in that one. And below these chords we have keys, just for the attack part of our sound. You'll find such a sound in your preset folders if you have a bunch of preset packs. So I'm not going through this now. This is just layering on top, emphasizing on the attack or transient part of the sound. This one here is brushing some high-end information. This one adds the feels in the middle. High-end. Pluckiness in the beginning. And now we have the second pad playing together. This one adds a bit more mid-width. B is too filthy, so 8 voices. But then filter out for the most part.
You be looking right through me. Oh, you know what I'm craving. You got the beauty.
This one is beefing up the mids, but we're not playing this in our drop because we want to, you know, keep it clean and snappy. And then we have this Pluck roll right below it, right towards the build up and drop as well. So we have 8th notes here. D sharp, and we are playing a plucky sound setup, MB saw, and then send through filter again. And this one is helping us together with the snare to build up tension. And now right in front of the drop, our drop synths are kicking in for the first time. And you could see the filter here going up on that group. Already announcing what's about to happen, kind of preparing you mentally. So you can see on the group we have a bit of chorus to widen the sound. We have the filter controlling our higher frequencies here over time for the arrangement. Sidechain, bit of mid-side EQ here, rolling off lower information on the side, and a reverb getting added in over time here in the beginning. So that's where we're opening it up for width. But now we want it clean. And by clean I mean dry. So these synths are relatively dry. We're just adding a bunch of notes here, making seventh chords out of some of them. And what does the sound look like? So we have 8 voices of saw wave and 8 voices of square wave here, and LFO1 controls the levels, being a bit late. Yeah, like I don't really see how it's getting this choppy thing. So let's take a look at the matrix, and we can see our mod wheel is controlling the volume of oscillator A and B, the noise level, and an EQ. And it's being automated here. So let's actually draw in the automation of the mod wheel. And we can see it moves. So the mod wheel actually brings up the levels. While LFO1 is sort of doing the choppiness, it's then getting overridden by the mod wheel. Whenever that thing goes up, it sort of emphasizes on, it says whatever LFO1 is saying, I'm going to push up the level in this part. Very clean setup to control this here and get over with it. And now we're rolling off some low information. Okay, next sound. Logic is the same, we just have different waveforms playing along here. Again, a mod wheel automation on that sound as well, working the same way. We're just using a bit more distorted wavetable here to emphasize a bit more on the grittiness and get 4 voices in. And carving off high end to not have it too bright. Basically, we're doing that with our next element, which is noise. And in this case, we drew out the MIDI, as you can see. It's it also works like that. So let's take a look at the noise. Which noise are we using? AC hum, as simple as it gets. And on top of that, we have a vocal drone. Nice, that little jump here. So also notice how this one is a bit late. That makes it interesting. Okay, layering it all together. I'm not sure, did we look at this one? So plucky sound, square wave and saw wave, 10 voices, 2 voices, and again, bit of a plucky setup. So here in the first one, we are emphasizing on the level with the mod wheel, but we're not doing that for the remaining ones. And so this part sounds different. It has a different character because that top lead sound here is not as emphasized. Here, the waveform sounds a bit more like skewed towards what this thing is doing, but here then it's getting a different character. It's also an interesting technique to keep it interesting. And okay, so let's move over to our vocals group. We have it sidechained as a group, but then we have this atmo basically playing the entire track. You can find many of these kinds of vocal atmos in our vocalized and vocal sound packs. I'm putting links to those in the description. And we have this vocal pad sitting on top whenever we are now drop. This one is just a little bit more choppy and nice, and it works great with what we're working with here. I mean, we're not really playing the exact chord progression, but we are in the same key and it blends in perfectly. Sometimes these are also like happy accidents that just happen to work out. And you could even argue that it doesn't really fit that well, but you know, at the end of the day, the sum of the elements matters, and it adds that sparkle on top. Okay, so that's that. We are panning that around your ears, making sure it doesn't occupy too many mid-frequencies here. And then we have this vocal lead.
You be looking right through me, oh, you know what I'm craving. Got me misbehaving for your love. I just wanna stay here forever.
I think originally this vocal is from our Tech House vocal pack. It's intended for something else, but it just works as if it's written for this track, in my opinion. Sent through echo and getting this higher reverb here, so we are not, you know, messing too much with the mid frequencies that are already covered by other elements.
I just wanna stay here forever. I just wanna.
Yeah, and later we have this hook.
I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it.
So very cool style, very simple setup, in my opinion. What are the key ingredients here? I would say it's important to keep your drums really snappy and concise. And, you know, that's why kick and everything, all these elements are pretty straight to the point and not long. They don't have long tails or something. They just like, you know, you play the kick and it's a short one. And the clap is just as short. I mean, is there a shorter way to do claps? Almost not possible. And then very clean, open hi-hat setup here. A quick drum loop under it. And even your crashes and rides are short. Also, the snare rolls are short. Everything is just short. And that's kind of the key here. We are at 135. We can't really... This is not, there's not going to be a techno rumble here or something, so our drum elements need to be kept short. Then some proper sub-separation on the bass sounds here to really make sure you're not messing up the cleanness of the drums that you just built. And that one kind of walks around like a bass guitar almost, especially when putting this Pluck in there as well. And then some grand pianos for the natural instrument feel. Can never really go wrong with a piano. And now, super interesting part in our drop is this layered group of synths that has, you know, the single lead, but then has this chord layered with this one. But also pretty dry still. They don't have a lot of delay or anything. And then we're adding some noise layer on top. But really making sure this is clean. And now the top lead on there. which sort of gives a bit of a melodic information here. And then we also put in this vocal drone for the more human touch. Kind of like a vocal stutter or something. And speaking of a vocal stutter, that's something we'll have later here in our hook part.
I need it, I need it.
Fits that style really well. Yeah, but as a counterpoint to what's happening in the drop with all the stutteriness, we have more sustained vocal pads. And also as a counterpoint to all of this, in the verse here, the vocal is actually more chill and more sustained and slow.
You got the beauty. You be looking right through me. You know what I'm craving.
Yeah, and last word about the arrangement. It's as short and straightforward as you can get with such a track, almost. I'm actually like putting those back. You have 8 bars of intro, 8 bars of hook, 8 bars of verse, 8 bars of drop, 8 bars of verse, 8 bars of break that's chill, and then you could argue 4 bars where we are starting to build up stuff, and another 4 bars where we're really making sure you understand that it's about to drop. And now the second drop, which is like, this is basically similar to what's happening here, and we are giving the second drop now 2 times, 2 rounds. We're not even playing a drop a third time. So that's the second one, and that's why we are leaving it running for another 8 bars and then adding the grand pianos in there. And then we are sort of playing the hook from the beginning one more time here, and then already starting to wind it down after quickly having emphasized on it here with the rides and bring some of the elements back. We are taking out the kick and making sure you understand that this is about to end. It's almost not possible to make an even shorter arrangement here. I mean, you could argue that maybe if you want it shorter, you can cut this part, but then, you know, this hook is missing. So I don't know. It's a pretty straightforward arrangement already. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. Feel free to check out the links in the description to this house sound pack here, including this project file and 4 other tracks, samples, and Serum presets and MIDIs. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description for the vocal packs mentioned and the vocal atmos and vocalized stutter packs, drum sounds, the premium series, and if you want it all, feel free to check out the Everything Bundle Collector's Edition. That's the biggest and greatest deal we have in the store, and really a great way to support our work on YouTube here as well. Comment below what you want to see next. Now we'll have a full playback, and I'll talk to you again soon.
I need it, 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 I need it.